Welcome to episode 136 of the Loane Hockey Podcast, where today we're going to be talking about some standouts in last night's matchup between Philadelphia and Carolina. And really good game from Carolina once again. Again, they've continued to be on their hot start throughout the season. It's about a quarter of the way through the NHL season now, and Carolina seems to be one of the more consistent teams in the league at being able to generate wins, generate offense, and being able to have their top guys going consistently, and that's been a really marquee element into their game. And we'll talk about Sebastian Aho first, their star centerman, and a guy who's really elite in every single facet of the game, a guy who's elite at even strength offense, a guy who's elite at even strength defense, and also PK, power play, many different situations where he's very heavily reliant on many aspects of his game. He's a goal scorer, but he's also a playmaker. He can finish and he could just do so many different things and score and make plays in so many different ways. And so Aho had a multi-point game yesterday with 2 points, a goal and an assist, and three shots, and he looked really good all around and was a consistent play driving presence throughout this game. And Jalen Chatfield had another really good game, another multi-point game for him, and he had a goal and an assist as well. And he looked really good activating transition, looked really good at his outlet passes, look really good engaging the attack and being able to be a threat in transition offense scenarios. And Chatfield's a guy ever since he was called up from the AHL a couple of years prior into where he is now. It's been a really large jump for him, and he got a slightly bigger extension on his next contract as well as a result because he was playing so well. He's played so well for Carolina in the few years that he's been there thus far, and he's been very consistent and has continued to get better over the course of time. Will Carrier, I thought, had a really good game and just fits this Carolina style of team really well ever since coming over from Vegas and free agency in the summer. He plays with speed, he plays with forechecking tenacity and discipline in his routes. And the discipline in his forecheck routes allows him to be able to stay square to guys and box out guys a little easier, and it allows him to track guys down a little bit easier as well. And he tracks back through the middle of the ice almost consistently, and very good with his tracking, very good with his forecheck tenacity, very good with his speed, and really weaponizes his speed in his game and showed really good instinct with his speed around the net as well. And then Jordan Martinook is a similar style player to Carrier in that sense, where I would say Martinick showed a little less discipline in his routes in this game compared to Carrier, but at the same time was still very good at forechecking, still very good at tracking back, still very good at playing on the PK, blocking shots, being able to be a guy who can stay square to opponents in the D zone. And as the high forward and the winger in the D zone, he does a good job of staying square to guys there. Dmitry Orlov had a really good game as well. Looked really good in transition. Looked really good as a two-way D, and was able to take advantage of some situations. I feel like some of Philadelphia's forecheck was slightly looser in this game, so that allowed Orlov to transition pucks a little easier and be able to slice through guys a little bit easier in the neutral zone. And at the same time, offensively, it brings a booming shot. He has a heavy presence with his shot. He's a really big threat walking the line laterally. Not necessarily most creative with his crossovers or anything like that, and how he walks the line using deception with his feet. But at the same time, he's really skilled at being able to handle pucks across the line, and he's done it ever since he was in Washington too. Being able to maneuver the line, walk the line, be able to create shot opportunities and shot lanes individually. Jack Roslovic has been playing really well for Carolina this far, has been a really good fit for them inside that top nine role and as a top nine style forward where he can be a complementary top six forward or he can be a top nine guy, up and down the top three lines. A guy who plays with forecheck, he plays with speed, he has a two-way game, but he has a really good skill game, a really underrated skill game, especially as a passer and a playmaker. He's really slick with the puck on his stick, and it sometimes looks as if he's got the puck glued to his stick. So he's underratedly skilled with the puck on his stick and a guy who's very noticeable when he's on the ice as well. And then on Philly's side, I thought Matvey Michkov had a really good game once again. Just stands out offensively in so many different ways. I love talking about him because the there's a lot of different elements to his game that stand out offensively and in transition. And again, he's not the best skater. He's not the most fluid with his feet or straight line speed, but he's so smart, so gifted with his smarts, so gifted at being able to use his escapability with the puck. And it makes it look effortless when he's trying to get out of situations with the puck in his stick, and he makes it look easy for himself. And he's not afraid to take risks, but at the same time, he takes those risks and he's able to execute them really well. So he does a really good job of that, and he's been a very consistent playmaking and goal scoring presence for them thus far. And right now, it looks as if he's going to be a top guy for the Calder Trophy right now. I'd say it's pretty close. I wouldn't actually, let me rephrase that. I wouldn't necessarily say closest. I would say right now it's between Hudson and him in terms of the Calder Trophy race. If Celebrini weren't injured at the start of the year, I would imagine Celebrini would be in this race right now too. But with him being injured at the start of the year, I feel like it kind of knocked him off a little bit. But if Celebrini is able to stay consistent the rest of the year, then he's surely in that conversation. But with Michkov, he's just been lights out, game in, game out. And even after being scratched for 2 games, he still came back and scored and was able to generate plays, and it was like nothing ever happened. So I feel like in terms of value, I feel like Michkov has brought the most value to the Flyers of any team. You could argue Hudson has as well, but Hudson, it's a little bit different in that sense since he's a defenseman. I would say if he was a forward producing this much offense and even more offense, then it would be slightly comparable. But I feel like Michkov with that playmaking presence and him being 19, him being a guy who's just reliable in all facets of the game and just a young phenom in general, he's really exciting to watch. And like I said, I feel like he's the top guy for the Calder Trophy right now. And then Nick Seeler brought a very consistent physical presence for them for the Flyers this game, and he always stands out in that sense. He's really good at holding the line, really good at using his stick, defending from range. He's an old school, rugged style shutdown defenseman who likes to play the body first before he likes to defend stick on puck. So sometimes he throws himself out of position when he's looking to hit first rather than go for the puck first. And it can be problematic in some scenarios, but if he's able to execute the hit, then it doesn't matter. So Sealer's a guy that he's more reliant on just trying to hit guys and trying to get that physical presence in to separate guys from the puck because he's, I believe, 6'4", and he's a pretty filled out 6'4". So certainly helps when you have a guy of that stature to be able to shut opponents down and be able to hold the blue line when necessary as well. And Eric Johnson, pretty similar to Sealer in that sense, in terms of the ability to bring that physical presence, hold the blue line, be able to be a transition defense threat, and how he can shut down situations there, and just steadily reliable in that sense as well. And then Ivan Fedotov, I actually wanted to talk about him, even though he let in four, and it was a slight problem there. I felt like he made some really good saves throughout this game. Like he had some old school style saves. He had some pad stacks in there. He was throwing himself across the crease. He was looking like Dominic Hasek at times. I just he's a 6'6" goalie, but when he's down in the butterfly, like literally his mask goes above the crossbar still, which is kind of funny. But at the same time, he's got that long wingspan, and that certainly helps him be able to defend the crease a little bit easier and take up more paint. And a guy who can get over moving laterally with so much ease because he's got that size and that stature. So a lot of different elements stood out in this game for sure.